My dear child, before you listen to another word, make a promise to yourself. Stay with this message until the very end. Don't rush past it. Don't leave halfway through. There is something important waiting for you, and every part of this journey leads to it. This isn't a story about chance. It isn't wishful thinking or imagination. It is about feelings that remained hidden for far too long. Somewhere, there is a person who has carried thoughts of you quietly in their heart, and they have finally reached a point where silence no longer feels possible. Today, those unspoken emotions find their voice. As this letter unfolds, each line reveals another piece of a truth that has been waiting patiently to be shared. Listen closely, because by the time you reach the final words, you may begin to understand your past in a completely different light. Every heart eventually reaches a moment when pretending becomes too exhausting. A smile can conceal emotions only for a while. Distance may postpone the truth, but it can never erase it completely. The person behind these words spent countless days searching for a way to express what they felt. Many attempts were started and abandoned. Sentences were written and erased. Nothing seemed large enough to hold the weight of what lived inside their heart. But today is different. Fear finally stepped aside. Memories became stronger than hesitation. Hope grew louder than uncertainty. Imagine receiving an envelope with no name attached to it. As you open it, you sense that what lies inside matters before you've even read a single sentence. The first words say, "I never truly understood how to explain what happened inside me until now." Simple words, yet filled with years of emotion. As the letter continues, another confession appears. I kept telling myself these feelings would disappear with time. Instead, time made them impossible to ignore. Everyday moments kept bringing me back to thoughts of you. A song playing unexpectedly. A peaceful evening. A stranger's smile. Somehow everything reminded me of you. Suddenly, memories that once seemed ordinary begin to feel like pieces of something much larger. The letter grows more honest. There were so many times I wanted to reach out, but I questioned everything. Was it too late? Had you moved on? Would my words even matter? Because I couldn't answer those questions, I chose silence. And with every passing day, that silence became heavier. You can feel the emotions becoming stronger now. Then comes a realization that changes everything. I stopped trying to figure out why I felt this way. Eventually, I accepted something simple. Whenever I pictured happiness, you were there. Every vision of a brighter future somehow included you. I finally stopped arguing with what my heart already knew. Some feelings never arrive dramatically. They grow quietly in the background until one day they can no longer be ignored. The letter continues. I don't expect perfect answers. I don't expect everything to become clear overnight. I simply wanted you to know that these feelings are real. I wanted the truth to exist somewhere beyond my own thoughts. I wanted to tell you what I should have shared long ago. With every sentence, uncertainty begins to disappear. This letter isn't built on grand promises or impossible expectations. Its foundation is honesty, nothing more, nothing less. Yet there is more to come. Hidden behind the first page is another carefully folded sheet, almost as though the writer hesitated before including it. The words become even more personal. If you've continued reading this far, thank you. There is something I never admitted, even to myself. I believed silence was protecting me. Instead, every silent day only strengthened your place in my life. Looking back now, I realize my greatest mistake was staying quiet when my heart already understood the truth. Sometimes the deepest feelings aren't hidden because they are weak. They are hidden because they matter too much. The writer continues, I remember moments you probably forgot long ago. Brief conversations, passing comments, small gestures. They may have felt ordinary to you, but they became unforgettable to me. Your kindness stayed with me long after those moments ended. Then another confession appears. There were evenings when I wondered if you were watching the same sunset. There were mornings when I hoped your day would be filled with happiness, even though you never knew I was thinking about you. Life kept moving forward, but my thoughts always found their way back to you. Time passed, seasons changed, yet one thing remained unchanged. People say time transforms everything. In some ways, they're right. Time changed me. It taught me that genuine feelings don't fade when they're real. They become clearer, and no matter how much time passed, whenever I imagined peace, fulfillment, or joy, your presence remained part of that picture. The next admission carries even greater weight. I wrote messages that were never sent. I rehearsed conversations that never happened. I convinced myself to wait one more day. Then one day became weeks. Weeks became months. Months became years of unanswered questions. Eventually, a realization emerged. Realization. Waiting didn't bring clarity. It only delayed honesty. Now, the deepest truth finally arrives. I stopped searching for the perfect moment because I finally understood something important. Feelings do not become more valuable by remaining hidden. They become meaningful when they are expressed sincerely. That is why I finished this letter. The writer continues, "You changed me without even realizing it. Your kindness taught me patience. Your presence reminded me of the value of simple things. You showed me that some people leave permanent marks on another person's heart simply by being themselves." Then comes a quiet pause. The final pages begin. If there is one thing I hope you remember, it is this. You were appreciated far more than you knew. You were valued more deeply than you ever imagined. You inspired hope in ways you may never fully understand. The closing words approach. This letter was never written to ask for anything. It was written because truth deserves a voice. Some feelings deserve to be spoken simply because they are genuine. Then another note appears at the bottom of the envelope, carefully folded as though the most meaningful thoughts were saved for last. The note begins softly. If you've reached this page, thank you. Meaningful things are rarely understood all at once. They reveal themselves slowly, one moment, one feeling, one heartbeat at a time. Then comes a memory. There is something I never told anyone. One ordinary day, I found myself smiling without knowing why. When I stopped to think about it, I realized the reason was you. The writer reflects further. I spent years wondering when everything changed. Was it one conversation? One smile? One unforgettable moment? Eventually, I realized it wasn't any single event. It was hundreds of small moments woven together over time. Tiny memories quietly became something much greater. Another truth follows. I tried convincing myself these feelings would disappear. Instead, they grew stronger. Every season seemed to bring another reminder. Eventually, I learned that real feelings don't vanish because we ignore them. They wait patiently until we're ready to face them. The note continues. Sometimes I imagine meeting you again. Not because I expect anything extraordinary, but because I wonder whether you would recognize the person I've become. In ways you never knew, you inspired growth inside me. Your influence encouraged me to become more patient, more grateful, and more hopeful. Then comes a thought written with quiet certainty. Distance can separate people physically, but it cannot erase genuine appreciation. Some connections endure because they were built on respect, honesty, and memories that time cannot take away. Finally, the writer reveals the realization that surprised them most. What astonished me wasn't discovering how much you meant to me. It was realizing how often thoughts of you appeared during the happiest moments of my life. Joy has a way of revealing what truly matters. Near the end, one final reflection appears. If I could revisit the past, I wouldn't change every mistake. I would simply choose honesty sooner. I would speak while my heart was still whispering, instead of waiting until it was forced to shout. The final paragraphs arrive gently. Perhaps these words will leave you smiling. Perhaps they will leave you wondering. Or perhaps they will simply remind you that even the smallest acts of kindness can leave lasting impressions on another person's life. The pen pauses one last time. Thank you for every memory you never knew you created. Thank you for every ordinary moment that became extraordinary. Thank you for teaching me that the strongest feelings are often the quietest. They do not demand attention. They simply remain true. And then, beneath every page, every memory, and every confession, one final sentence is written more carefully than any other. The greatest surprise was never finding the courage to write this letter. The greatest surprise was realizing that you had been living in my heart all along. If you'd like, I can also make this version more emotional, more spiritual/God-centered, or more suitable for a long-form YouTube narration on inner shadow while keeping the same message. The greatest surprise was discovering that every step of my journey had quietly been guiding me toward this moment all along. Just when it seemed there was nothing left to say, something unexpected appeared inside the envelope. Tucked behind the final page was a small handwritten card carrying only a single sentence across the front. This is the part I almost never allowed anyone to read. Stay with me until the end. What follows is different from everything that came before. The pages you've read so far were only leading to this moment. This final message carries no hesitation, no second-guessing, and no unfinished thoughts. Every word has been written with complete honesty. As the card unfolds, a confession appears. If you've reached this page, then you know more about my heart than anyone else ever has. I spent so much time searching for perfect words that I nearly overlooked the simplest truth. Some people become unforgettable not because they try to stand out, but because they leave kindness behind wherever they go. You became one of those people for me. A quiet pause follows. For years, I believed meaningful memories had to be extraordinary. I thought life-changing moments arrived with dramatic events and unforgettable circumstances, but I was wrong. The memories I treasure most are the simple ones, the brief conversations, the unexpected laughter, the quiet encouragement that arrived exactly when it was needed. Those moments may have seemed ordinary at the time, yet they became some of the most valuable memories I carry today. As the handwriting grows steadier, another realization emerges. One day, I noticed something that surprised me completely. Whenever someone asked me what genuine kindness looked like, your face appeared in my thoughts before I could answer. I never planned for that to happen. It simply became true. Without realizing it, you became a measure of sincerity, patience, and warmth. Life introduced me to many people, but very few remained in my thoughts after time moved on. Somehow you were different. Your memory never demanded attention, yet it never faded either. It quietly settled into everyday life, into peaceful mornings, calm evenings, and hopeful dreams about the future. Then came a day when everything finally made sense. I stopped questioning whether my feelings were real. Instead, I began wondering why I had waited so long to acknowledge them. The answer was simple. I wasn't afraid of the truth. I was afraid of how much that truth meant. Another paragraph follows, more personal than the last. Do you know what I admire most about you? It isn't a single quality. It's the way you make ordinary moments feel meaningful. You leave encouragement behind without even realizing it. You bring hope into situations without trying. That's a rare gift, and I hope you never forget how valuable it is. As the final section begins, the words become even more heartfelt. If you ever question whether your presence mattered in someone's life, remember this letter. Remember that someone eventually found the courage to turn years of quiet appreciation into words, because keeping those feelings hidden no longer felt right. That alone should remind you that kindness is never wasted. Every smile becomes a memory for someone. Every encouraging word remains with someone longer than you may realize. Every act of sincerity leaves a mark. The handwriting slows, as though every word is being chosen carefully. Thank you for every conversation that stayed with me long after it ended. Thank you for every moment that quietly became part of my story. Thank you for showing me that the strongest connections are built through respect, understanding, and genuine appreciation. Then another folded note appears. Before you close this letter, there's one final thing I want you to know. The greatest surprise was never discovering how I felt. The greatest surprise was realizing that so many of my happiest memories shared the same quiet detail. In one way or another, they always led back to you. For a moment, no more words appear. Only one sentence remains beneath the signature. Some letters are read once and forgotten. Others quietly remain in the heart forever. I hope this becomes one of those letters. Yet even now, the envelope isn't completely empty. Hidden beneath the remaining pages is one final note, saved for the very end. Its opening words are simple. If you've reached this page, then you've walked through every memory I was brave enough to share. But there is one truth I protected longer than any other, because I wanted to be absolutely certain before writing it. Today, I am. A silence follows. Then the deepest realization finally appears. For a long time, I believed I thought about you because of the past. One morning I realized something remarkable. I wasn't holding on to old memories. I was imagining the future. And somehow, every hope I carried for tomorrow included your presence. That realization changed everything. The letter continues. Do you remember how ordinary some of our conversations seemed? I do. Yet those simple moments became extraordinary memories. I still remember the comfort hidden inside everyday words, the warmth of small interactions, and the ease that always seemed to accompany them. Those memories became the quiet foundation beneath everything I feel today. Then another truth unfolds. The most meaningful people rarely arrive with grand announcements. They slowly become part of your heart until one day you cannot imagine your story without them. That's what happened with you. You probably never realized how much encouragement you gave simply by being yourself. Your kindness stayed with me during difficult days. Your words returned when I needed hope. Your presence reminded me that genuine people still exist. Over time, my admiration became gratitude. My gratitude became appreciation. And my appreciation slowly became something too meaningful to keep hidden. That's when I understood something important. Some people leave temporary impressions. Others quietly brighten every memory they touch. You became one of those rare people. As the final page appears, the writer offers one last expression of gratitude. Thank you, not only for the memories we shared, but for the person those memories helped me become. They taught me patience. They taught me appreciation. Most importantly, they taught me that the strongest feelings are built slowly through trust, kindness, and respect. The pen seems ready to rest. Then one final paragraph appears beneath everything else. If time causes these pages to fade, I hope one thing never does. I hope you always remember that your kindness mattered, your words mattered, your presence mattered, Sometimes people change another person's life without ever realizing they have done so. You became one of those people for me. And now, after every memory, every confession, every hidden feeling, only one sentence remains. Written more carefully than any other line in the entire letter, the greatest gift was never finding the right words. It was finally finding the courage to let you read them. If you'd like, I can continue rewriting the remaining portion in the same style so the entire script maintains one consistent voice and flow. That is why this letter exists. It is more than words on a page. It is everything I kept hidden for far too long, finally finding the courage to be spoken. As these final lines are written, only one truth matters. Never underestimate the impact of your kindness. A thoughtful conversation, a sincere smile, or a few encouraging words may seem small, yet they can remain in someone's heart for years. What feels ordinary to you may become a cherished memory for someone else. If this letter is remembered someday, I hope it is not because it was beautifully written. I hope it is remembered because it was honest. Honest words have a way of lasting longer than perfect ones. The writer signs the page, then one final sentence appears beneath the signature. The most important chapter was never the moment I understood my feelings. It was the moment I found the courage to give them a voice. The story seems complete. But as the envelope closes, one final page slips free. Across the top, a single sentence is written. If your heart brought you this far, these are the words you were meant to find. For a long time I believed feelings became meaningful only after they were spoken. Now I understand they become meaningful the moment they are sincere. Speaking them simply allows another heart to see what has quietly existed all along. I once thought courage meant having no doubts. Life taught me something different. True courage is choosing honesty even when uncertainty remains. This letter exists because I finally chose honesty over silence. What surprised me most was not realizing how important you had become. It was realizing how naturally it happened. There was no single moment that changed everything. Instead, there were countless small moments, conversations, smiles, memories that quietly came together until they became impossible to forget. Sometimes I wonder whether people truly understand the impact they have on others. I don't think they always do. A kind word may last only seconds when spoken, yet its warmth can remain for years. That is what your kindness became for me. The conversations ended, but their comfort stayed. As time passed, those memories did not fade. They became clearer, stronger, more meaningful. That was when I realized appreciation does not always weaken with time. Sometimes it grows. If someone asked me what I treasure most, I would not speak about achievements or places. I would think of genuine moments shared with genuine people. Many of those treasured memories begin with thoughts of you. No collection of sentences could ever fully express gratitude. But perhaps these words can remind you that your presence mattered more than you realized. Sometimes the greatest influence is the one we never know we have. If these pages reach your heart, they have fulfilled their purpose. They were never written to impress. They were written to be true. Inside the final folded corner is a short message. Thank you for being one of the brightest chapters in a story that still inspires me today. And beneath it, some letters end when the ink dries. This one continues whenever its words are remembered. The envelope may now be empty, but the story is not. Because meaningful letters are not remembered for the number of pages they contain. They are remembered for the feelings they leave behind. Then one final discovery appears. Written on the back of the envelope are words unlike any before them. I wanted you to understand my memories before I showed you my heart. I wanted you to see the journey before the destination. For years, I thought certain memories would fade. Instead, they became brighter. They reminded me that some people leave lasting marks simply by being genuine. While writing these pages, I noticed something unexpected. Every time I wrote about the future, I found myself writing about hope. And every time I wrote about hope, I somehow found myself thinking about you. I never planned for that connection. It simply became impossible to ignore. If I could keep one lesson from everything life has taught me, it would be this: never wait too long to appreciate the people who quietly brighten your world. Perhaps you never realized your words encouraged someone through difficult days. Perhaps you never knew your kindness remained long after the conversation ended. That is why this letter had to be written, not to impress, not to astonish, but to leave behind one unforgettable truth. Genuine appreciation does not fade with time. It grows stronger. As these final words are written, I understand something clearly. This letter was never only about feelings. It was about courage. The courage to stop hiding appreciation. The courage to stop waiting for perfect timing. The courage to let honesty become louder than hesitation. If these pages are opened again years from now, I hope they remind you of one simple thing. The people who quietly bring light into our lives deserve to know that their presence mattered. The final note contains only a few words. Thank you for becoming one of the most meaningful chapters of my story. Thank you for proving that kindness creates memories stronger than time. The writer signs the page one last time, and beneath the signature, the final sentence completes the letter. The greatest surprise was never finding the right words for my heart. It was realizing that my heart had been writing this letter long before my hands ever touched the page.